The waiter just nodded half-heartedly and used a look to signal the manager to get someone. Liz quickly devoured the leftover food, even leaving no drop of water in the cup. Then he pretended to be a beggar on the street, watching coins plop into his bowl, and the grin cracked onto his face, but suddenly someone came along and kicked his bowl away. The guy in front, Barry, who also wanted a piece of the action, made him regret sneaking into France. Just a few days ago, Elias and his friend hopped on a fishing boat. Seeing the hold crammed with other stowaways, Elias was shocked, quickly pulling his friend aside to whip out a dictionary for a crash course in French. If they wanted to find decent jobs in France, they had to learn to chat with the locals in French. As they were studying, the two were startled by the sound of a bell, seeing crew members quickly folding tarps. They exchanged confused glances and then jumped into the sea under everyone's amazed stares. Sure enough, a patrol boat showed up, heading right for them, and his muscular buddy jumped over without hesitation, but huge waves quickly scattered them. Seeing the patrol boat come to a stop before the stowaways, he panicked and swam away as fast as he could. When Elias awoke, he found himself adrift on a luxury club beach, with police patrolling the sea in the distance. He quickly played tourist and walked ashore, casually snagging a work uniform hanging in a tent, not realizing this move would lead him to a benefactor. He initially wanted to sneak out quietly, but ended up bumping into staff along the way. They first had him lift a suitcase, then took him to the entrance to help guests carry their luggage. He saw a throng of police at the entrance and felt his heart drop. So he took advantage of the luggage moving to sneak into the bus overhead compartment. In no time, the bus driver caught him red-handed, forcing him to sit back on the tour bus to the club. He ninja-ed his way into the bushes, but failed to notice the place was lined with barbed wire. He struggled to break free, only to realize his clothes were in tatters. To avoid being recognized by the club, he stealthily crept next door, planning to snag a new outfit. To his surprise, the guests spotted him. Worried about being caught, he had to follow them to the restroom. Faced with the clogged toilet, he had never seen such a high-end facility and was at a loss. Despite the urging behind him, he gathered his courage, rolled up his sleeves, and reached into the toilet. The crowd gasped as he pulled out the wig. Thanks to his dedicated attitude, Elias scored a $20 tip. He also casually swiped some clothes left outside the door. After changing clothes in the bushes, he took a quick nap, but when he woke up, the police were hot on the trail. He tried to blend in with the crowd for an escape. Just then, a guest suddenly asked about handling a caught stowaway. The foreman rushed over and led him to Elias. The foreman then nudged him to try it out, and just when Elias was taken aback, a tourist suddenly swooped in and locked the foreman, causing everyone to finally turn their attention away from him. That night, the club staff and police launched a surprise raid, accidentally catching a stowaway hiding there. But when Elias arrived, he was shocked to find it was his friend who'd been caught. They exchanged looks across the crowd, yet neither stood up to claim the other. It wasn't until the cops took his friend away that he leapt up and blurted out some fluent French. Turns out their dream was to open a bakery in France. Reality slapped them hard in the face, leaving him to hide in the bushes again, feeling scared and guilty. The next morning, he was awakened by footsteps and peeked outside, seeing the police still patrolling the entrance, clearly suspecting there were stowaways hiding there. With nowhere to run, he could only blend in as a guest, but then the arrival of a magician changed his fate. The magician called Elias forward, and it was the first time he genuinely smiled in a foreign land. That night, he assisted the magician in a big illusion show, and the audience erupted in thunderous applause. At this moment, he felt unprecedented joy, yet his identity had aroused staff suspicion. Little did he know, all of this had caught the attention of some elite folks in the audience. Just then, an unexpected heavy downpour interrupted his daydream. The audience quickly hoisted their clothes over their heads and fled back to their rooms, while the magician began packing his props to leave. Before leaving, the magician asked, "Want to go to Paris?" Elias was pondering how. Suddenly, a woman approached, asking him to escort her back to her room, completely unaware he had become her target. When he escorted her to her room, she was charmed by his looks and insisted he stay, so he lodged there under her mild persuasion. The next morning, they strolled around the club like a couple, but were surprised to see a few police officers taking photos as they approached the beach. When they got closer, they discovered two bodies lying on the ground, sending chills down their spine. Turns out last night's storm had claimed the lives of two stowaways, and their tragic fates made him think of his own future. He returned to the room in despair, lying on the woman's lap, and revealing in fluent French that he was a stowaway. But instead of turning him in, she became even more protective of Elias, even going to the restaurant to get him food to avoid the club's staff discovering him. However, this blissful time didn't last long, as the club's manager eventually came looking for them. Subtitles: The manager inquired whether there were any issues apart from legal immigrants. It was evident that, even if they were wanted criminals, it was closely tied to the club's very survival. The manager gave them 2 more days together, after which Elias would be shipped back with other illegal immigrants. That night, unwilling to accept this fate, he secretly opened the drawer while the woman slept, planning to swipe some cash to make his escape, only to find she had left money for him in an envelope. Feeling grateful, Elias placed the ring in the drawer in thanks, and then, before the sun rose, he snuck off with the sailboat. Having no idea how to sail, he just went with the waves, and after an unknown time drifted close to shore.